Hello and welcome to the Seth Joyner Show. The Eagles are 2-0, and yet there's an uneasiness around this team. With success comes great expectation. The fans, media, the players themselves expect a challenge for Super Bowl supremacy this year. It's time for my breakdown. In 2022, this Eagles offense was dynamic, explosive, and efficient. So naturally, the expectations are even higher that this year's team would be more proficient, given that they only lost the right guard and the running back. But through the first two games of the 2023 season, they have been anything but the aforementioned. Jalen Hurts and new OC Brian Johnson have struggled to find a rhythm, a level of consistency, or the formula to kickstart this high-powered offense. Through the first two games, Jalen is averaging 67% completion percentage. Not bad, slightly better than last year, but he's only averaging 181 yards per game passing. He's averaging one touchdown pass per game and a half an interception per game. Not bad if you average that out over a 17-game schedule. I think we'd all take 8.5 interceptions right now. He's given up 3.5 sacks per game. That has got to change, got to take care of himself. Those numbers fall far short of his MVP runner-up numbers from last year. I get it. Each year is a uniquely new and different challenge. In my opinion, there are a number of issues at hand. Great defensive coordinators are not going to allow a quarterback like Jalen Hurts to do the things that allowed him to be successful in previous seasons. Bill Belichick and Brian Flores crowded the box and took Jalen out of the run game. The linebackers and defensive backs aligned in a muddle look behind the defensive line with the intent to confuse any pre-snap read Hurts might make. From this alignment, they played zone, man, they ran zone pressures and 5- and 6-man blitzes, most from a similar look to keep Hurts off balance. Patience is required versus these types of defensive coordinators. Johnson and Hurts must take what the defense is giving them in order to sustain drives, keep the chains moving, and put points on the board. The remedy was the run game last game. The running backs, particularly DeAndre Swift, had a day, 28 carries for 175 yards and one touchdown. The Birds overall ran the ball 45 times for 259 yards and 3 touchdowns, primarily in the second half. The O-line was loving it. You could have seen Lane Johnson doing a little bit of this towards the sideline as they were revving it up. Devontae Smith also had a big day as well. 4 receptions for 131 yards and a 63-yard touchdown catch. Although this isn't the new age way of offensive football, this is the adjustment to the adjustment that the Eagles need to make and sustain in order to get Jalen Hurts in this offense and Brian Johnson back on track. Defensively, given the fact that the Birds were missing a starting linebacker, a starting safety, and corner, I thought the defense held up pretty well until late in the second half. They yielded only 28 yards on 9 carries for 3.1 yards per carry. They sacked Kirk Cousins twice and caused 3 fumbles. Cousins and Jefferson put up some impressive numbers, but most of those yards never really affected the game and came when the Vikings were in catch-up mode. I got a sense that the Eagles were never really in jeopardy of losing that game. The defensive tackles continue to play well. In my opinion, this group is the most productive unit on the defensive side of the ball, and they've been constructed to dominate. Jordan Davis added another sack, and Jalen Carter continued to make his presence felt, while Cox and Williams played another all-around great game. Josh Sweat also seemed to find his footing. He had a huge strip sack that Cox recovered, setting up the offense for their first touchdown of the second half. While the defensive tackles are getting it done, I think we are all waiting to see the defensive ends and the edge rushers turn it on. The injury to Reddick's hand and Nolan Smith's shoulder seemed to be limiting both players. I was impressed with the play of Nicholas Morrow and Zach Cunningham. They both will need to continue to grow and play well with Dean on the shelf for a while. Darius Slay was the only veteran in the defensive backfield on many occasions, yet Ringo, Ricks, Brown, and Josh Jobe in his first start held up well in the first half. Edmonds, who is not known for his pass coverage, played a solid game. He was there to force the Jefferson fumble that resulted in a touchback. Communication is such a big part of a secondary's success, and in the second half, the Vikings took advantage of the lack of communication by these young players. They seemed to be confused on more than one occasion and gave up some pass plays that made the game look closer than it really was. The good thing is that Sean Desai has a full 10 days to get these young guns reps, teaching points, and stress to them the necessity to communicate with each other pre-snap. The special teams, for all intents and purposes, had a non-eventful day, and at this point, that's a good thing. With the exception of Jake Elliott's 55-yard missed field goal, this unit held its own. That's my breakdown. Up next, NBC Sports Philadelphia reporter John Clark is here to chat with me about the Eagles versus the Bucs on Monday Night Football in Tampa Bay.
When you open the BetParx app, you're in the zone. Winning is always a rush, but the money is in the moments. It's the confidence and underdogs covering, the tension before a clutch turnover, and the pride of a parlay paying off. It's another chance to win big with all-day action. Plus, win your first $10 bet and get $125 in sports bonus bets. You play for fun, you love to win. You bet. BetParx.
This is Seth Joyner, top analyst for the Birds. I've also analyzed the best auto dealerships, and I drive a Davis Honda.
Fall into savings at Davis Honda. Over 300 cars available. And right now, get rates as low as 0.9% at Davis Honda in Burlington. Plus, you'll get 2 years of free oil changes on every new and used Davis Honda vehicle. See why Davis Honda continues to win outstanding awards for sales and service, including the highest award from Honda, the President's Award. Get to Davis Honda in Burlington.
Fall into savings at Davis Honda.
Welcome to Bridgeview Partners, where IT and business innovation merge. We're not just another tech company. We're your strategic partner in navigating the ever-evolving digital landscape. Our team of experts tailors cutting-edge solutions to fit your unique needs, and ensuring your success is our top priority. Elevate your business with Bridgeview Partners. Discover the power of partnership and tech innovation today. Contact us now to experience the difference. Bridgeview Partners, where innovation meets excellence.
If you understand that success is built on trusted relationships and dependable performance, Mid-Penn Bank is the right bank for you. We're on a mission to prove that the right bankers can make a big difference. We work harder, we get things done, and we're in your corner. With financial centers strategically located throughout the greater Philadelphia region and new locations in central New Jersey, we're ready to bring you the best in commercial and personal banking. Call or visit us today to connect with a professional Mid-Penn banker. Member FDIC. Go Eagles!
At Revolution X, we know that fortunes are made in times of uncertainty. Are you selling your investment real estate? Are you interested in deferring your tax with a 1031 exchange? At RevX, we're experts in 1031 exchange planning and the use of passive real estate options using DSTs. Not in the midst of an exchange and want to invest in real estate but don't know where to start? Revolution X has institutional-grade real estate options for any size investor right now. Set up a consultation at RevXWealth.com. RevX, defer the tax, maximize the gain.
This segment is brought to you by Davis Honda of Burlington. Welcome back. My old colleague from NBC Sports Philadelphia, John Clark, joins me to preview the NFC matchup on Monday night versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. John, how are you, my friend?
Seth, it is good to see you. I love that suit you got rocking there. That is beauty.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. John, listen, the Eagles are 2-0. So why does it feel like this team is 0-2 around the city right now?
Well, Seth, you know Philly. There's such high expectations for this team, and it's kind of like a Super Bowl or bust mentality after they reached the Super Bowl last year. And you see the rest of the NFC, it's a very winnable conference. So I think they see that this team can be better, and they think the passing game can be better, and maybe some parts of the defense can be better. But look, to be 2-0 in the NFL and not play your A game, Seth, I think you would take that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, John, as a reporter that closely covers the team, what's bogging Hurts down in this offense right now? What's the issue? And from a closer perspective, is there a sense of frustration on the players' part, or is it just the growing pains of the early part of the season?
Seth, look, I just think it's the early part of the season. And you see around the NFL, there's a lot of issues with quarterbacks. Look at Josh Allen week 1, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. The Patrick Mahomes Chiefs offense, it is not rolling. And I think offenses a lot of times are all about timing and rhythm. And I think the rhythm and the timing is just off a tiny bit. Jalen Hurts is getting some of that pressure, and that kind of creates havoc with the timing. So I think if they had gotten some game action in the preseason, they would be farther along. But I think against this Tampa team, because Tampa is great against the run, I think you're going to see the passing game come alive in this game up to the standard that Jalen talks about.
So the Eagles have faced two of the more well-regarded defensive minds to start the season, Bill Belichick and Brian Flores. And a third one is now on deck in Todd Bowles. From your perspective, what are the great defensive minds doing to stifle this number 2 overall rated defense from last season?
Well, I'll tell you what, you're right. It's kind of a crash course for Brian Johnson, offensive coordinator, jumping in Bill Belichick, and then Brian Flores, who comes from that Belichick tree. And now you're going down there against Todd Bowles in that defense. Todd Bowles basically held Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni to two of their worst performances as quarterback and coach in 2021 in the regular season and the playoffs. Jalen only completed 46% of his passes and then 53% of his passes. And Todd Bowles does a great job maybe using some of that zone coverage, mixing it up, and really muddying everything. Jason Kelce said these two coaches to start the season have created chaos, and I think you're going to see more of that. But I think the Eagles will be up to task on this because I think the passing game will come alive in this game because they're not going to be able to run the ball that well against Vita Vea. Right. So I think the passing game will come alive, and I do think A.J. Brown is going to have a big game because I think they will feed him the football and get that ball out quick sometime.
Right. So at the beginning of the year, looking at Baker Mayfield as the Bucs starting quarterback, no one was really worried about that given his past history, but the team is 2-0 with him at the helm. He's protected the ball, made some plays, and managed the offense and allowed the defense to control the game. How do the Birds disrupt him and turn him into the Baker Mayfield of old?
Seth, that is such a great point. And even this last game, Baker was perfect against the blitz. I think he was like 6 for 6 for over 138 yards and threw a touchdown. But my feeling is I think the Eagles' defensive tackles are going to create so much pressure up the middle. Baker Mayfield is not the best at moving around in the pocket. So I think, especially with the Bucs really having a backup center in Robert Hainsey, and he's given up a lot of pressures, I think Jalen Carter, who's got 12 pressures already, Jalen Carter, Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, I think they're going to have a field day getting pressure up the middle. And that is really going to disturb Baker Mayfield to the point where we're going to see the old Baker Mayfield we knew from Cleveland.
All right, John. So this Bucs offense and defense, they complement each other. And just like the Birds, I should say, the Bucs defense has turned the ball over at a high rate. What's your keys to the game for the Eagles, and who wins? Give me a score.
So I do think that the Eagles offense will get the ball out quick. And I think you're going to see some good passes over the middle, crossing routes and some things like that with the receivers and Dallas Goedert, because you don't want Vita Vea coming and hitting Jalen Hurts in that defensive front because they've got some speed on that. Mm-hmm. But I do think the Eagles offense will come alive in the passing. And, boy, I haven't thought about the score yet, but I will say the Eagles win, and I think they win by a touchdown because I do think they're going to be able to rattle Baker Mayfield. And, look, the Bucs beat the Bears and the Vikings. The Bears are awful. So I do think that the Eagles defense will get after Baker Mayfield. They might give up a little bit in the passing game, missing Avonte Maddox, and you got Mike Evans. But let's say 27-20.
John, it's always great to talk to you about Eagles football. Thanks for giving us a feel for where this team is at this point.
All right, Seth. Love that suit. Thanks for having me on.
You got it, my friend. Up next, Brad Feinberg gives his picks for Week 3's fantasy and betting matchups.
When you open the BetParks app, you're in the zone. Winning is always a rush, but the money is in the moments. It's the anticipation of another face card, the thrill of an extra spin, and the pure joy of a jackpot. It's all your favorite games at your fingertips. Plus, get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. You play for fun, you love to win. You bet. BetParks.
This is Seth Joyner, top analyst for the Birds. I've also analyzed the best auto dealerships, and I drive a Davis Honda.
Fall into savings at Davis Honda. Over 300 cars available. And right now, get rates as low as 0.9% at Davis Honda in Burlington. Plus, you'll get 2 years of free oil changes on every new and used Davis Honda vehicle. See why Davis Honda continues to win outstanding awards for sales and service, including the highest award from Honda, the President's Award. Get to Davis Honda in Burlington.
Fall into savings at Davis Honda.
Welcome to Bridgeview Partners, where IT and business innovation merge. We're not just another tech company. We're your strategic partner in navigating the ever-evolving digital landscape. Our team of experts tailors cutting-edge solutions to fit your unique needs, and ensuring your success is our top priority. Elevate your business with Bridgeview Partners. Discover the power of partnership and tech innovation today. Contact us now to experience the difference. Bridgeview Partners, where innovation meets excellence.
JP Mascaro and Sons is a family-owned, locally operated solid waste service company in business for over 60 years. You've seen the red trucks with the blue elephant that symbolizes strength and reliability. Mascaro is different than other national brands. Like the birds, Philadelphia is home. They'll take care of all your waste removal needs. They have it all: an experienced workforce, state-of-the-art equipment, a cutting-edge recycling center, and their own disposal facilities. Call 888-MASCARO or visit jpmascaro.com.
At Mandrecchia Law, we win big personal injury cases, but we always tell our clients up front that those cases almost always hinge on how much insurance coverage people or companies have. At Mandrecchia Law, we don't sell insurance, but we're experts at helping our clients make sure they have the right insurance to protect their businesses and families. Do you have the right insurance? Most people don't. For a consultation, visit mmattorneys.com or call 610-584-0700. Mandrecchia Law, aggressive attorneys who get the job done.
This segment is brought to you by Bet Parks. Welcome back. As fantasy football and betting kicks into high gear in week 3, say hello to Brad Feinberg. Brad, it seems like everyone is trying to get a grasp of how these players and teams, will shake out early in the season. But so let's just jump right into it. As far as the fantasy is concerned this week, who are your favorites as far as players and defenses?
Well, we had some good calls last week on the fantasy last week. Hopefully we can do it again this week. Underrated quarterbacks this week, Seth. Listen, we saw what Kirk Cousins did last week against the Eagles. This is a Vikings team that doesn't run. Highest total game of the week in a controlled environment, in a dome, against the poor Chargers defense. How is Kirk Cousins not one of the 5 highest priced quarterbacks this week? Love Kirk Cousins against a bad Chargers defense. Definitely underrated. Running back wise, Zach Moss. Had him in my fantasy lineup last week, Seth. He played in every snap except one. No Jonathan Taylor? Who cares? He's getting all the workload he can handle. He's being priced outside of the top 20. He had 18 carries, 88 yards, and 4 catches. Sign me up for him. Wide receiver, Seth, underrated. Mike Williams. Look, I know we had him last week, but to me, Seth, here's a guy that I just think is really, really good. And it's, again, a controlled environment, a Chargers team, probably no Austin Eckler. I still think him and Keenan Allen's close to a 50-50 thing. He's not being priced as one of the best 20 receivers. I expect a shootout like Mike Williams. And then defensively, underrated, I'm going to say the Jets. Look, last week against Dallas, extremely tough matchup, Seth. This week against a New England team, much more manageable. Still think the Jets have a good defense. They're not being priced high. I think it's a good investment.
Brad, like I said, it's been tough to zero on players and defenses as teams try to get into a rhythm early. So what players and defenses are you fading in week 3?
Well, Seth, quarterback-wise, Justin Fields, being priced as the 5th highest priced quarterback. I must be watching a different sport. He's a great athlete, Seth. I won't take that away from him. But he can't pass. Going against Kansas City, the 5th highest most priced quarterback, no thanks. I would avoid Justin Fields. Running back-wise, Seth, I love Derrick Henry, great player, but I've noticed 2 things this year, Seth. First of all, he doesn't seem to have that same quite burst that I've normally seen out of Henry. Plus, Tajay Spears has actually been getting some run as the backup. They invested a 2nd-round pick in him, Seth, from Tulane. He's good. So against a tough Browns defense is good. They lost because of Deshaun Watson yesterday, nothing else, when that game was, on Monday night. To me, Seth, I think that Derrick Henry is a fade, being as the 5th highest pace running back. Too rich for me. Garrett Wilson, again, I don't get this. He's being priced in the top 10 going against, you saw the defense for New England. The rookie Gonzalez looks really stout. They shut down Tyreek Hill. Garrett Wilson was Zach Wilson. No thanks. No interest in Garrett Wilson. And defensively, Seth, I'm going to say the Ravens. They're the 3rd highest priced defense, which is okay. They're a decent defense, but Indianapolis has actually been decent, Seth. Anthony Richardson has impressed me a lot more than I was expecting. And even if he doesn't play, we get Garrett Minshew. Minshew did fine last week against the Texans. I don't put them as an elite defense, so I would fade the Ravens as being a top 3 price defense.
Lastly, Brad, give us your top or favorite bets for this week.
Well, Seth, I'm going to start out with Dallas laying 12.5 against Arizona. Sometimes it's like, and think of baseball analogy, it's see the ball, hit the ball, not that hard. I kind of see that game like a little bit like that. Like, I look at this Dallas team, Seth, they're stout on both sides of the ball. And like, to me, this is a game, I see it being 14-0 in the first quarter. Laying 12.5 is never fun. I get it. But to me, this is a true mismatch. I struggle to see Arizona scoring double digits in this game. And I really struggle to see Arizona holding this team less than 30 points. I think this is a 38-7 kind of game. I'll lay the 12.5. I know it's a lot, Seth, but I think Dallas gets there. Dolphins against Denver, laying less than a touchdown. I'm going to bite. What has Denver really shown? I have not been impressed with them at all on either side of the ball. Miami, to me, looks incredible. Now, Waddle is iffy, but even with that, Seth, laying less than a touchdown with Tyreek Hill and company, their offense looks that good. I say Denver goes to 0-3, and I like Miami to cover the 6.5-point spread. I'm going to take the Raiders over Pittsburgh, Seth. We had Pittsburgh last week, but I'm going to fade them this week. A Monday night game, they did not really impress me. Again, defensively they were decent, but offensively a big mess. I think Jimmy Garoppolo and company win a close game at home. We're taking 1.5. I say they win outright. And Seth, last game, look, the Eagles game. Seth, are we sure the Eagles are an elite team like last year? I'm not so sure. Maybe they're going to get there. I'm not doubting it. The talent is there. But something just seems a little amiss to me in Eagle Land. I made this line closer to 4, getting 6.5. You could even buy it up to 7, laying a little extra heavy, vigorish. I like Tampa Bay to keep this game close. I fully expect Tampa Bay to lose the game. I think the Eagles will still win, Seth. But will they win by margin? I'm not so sure. Give me Tampa Bay getting 6.5.
All right, my friend. It's always a pleasure to chop it up with you. I'll see you next week. Thanks. Up next, my closing thoughts and prediction for Monday Night Football's matchup between the 2-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers and your 2-0 Philadelphia Eagles.
JP Mascaro and Sons is a family-owned, locally operated solid waste service company in business for over 60 years. You've seen the red trucks with the blue elephant that symbolizes strength and reliability. Mascaro is different than other national brands. Like the birds, Philadelphia is home. They'll take care of all your waste removal needs. They have it all: an experienced workforce, state-of-the-art equipment, a cutting-edge recycling center, and their own disposal facilities. Call 888-MASCARO or visit jpmascaro.com.
At Mandrecchia Law, we win big personal injury cases, but we always tell our clients up front that those cases almost always hinge on how much insurance coverage people or companies have. At Mandrecchia Law, we don't sell insurance, but we're experts at helping our clients make sure they have the right insurance to protect their businesses and families. Do you have the right insurance? Most people don't. For a consultation, visit mmattorneys.com or call 610-584-0700. Mandrecchia Law, aggressive attorneys who get the job done. At Revolution X, we know that fortunes are made in times of uncertainty. Are you selling your investment real estate? Are you interested in deferring your tax with a 1031 exchange? At RevX, we're experts in 1031 exchange planning and the use of passive real estate options using DSTs. Not in the midst of an exchange and want to invest in real estate but don't know where to start? Revolution X has institutional-grade real estate options for any size investor right now. Set up a consultation at RevXWealth.com. RevX, defer the tax, maximize the gain.
If you understand that success is built on trusted relationships and dependable performance, MidPenn Bank is the right bank for you. We're on a mission to prove that the right bankers can make a big difference. We work harder, we get things done, and we're in your corner. With financial centers strategically located throughout the greater Philadelphia region and new locations in central New Jersey, we're ready to bring you the best in commercial and personal banking. Call or visit us today to connect with a professional MidPenn banker. Member FDIC. Go Eagles!
When you open the BetParks app, you're in the zone. Winning is always a rush, but the money is in the moments. It's the energy of being all in, the passion of a perfect parlay, and the pure joy of a jackpot. It's another opportunity to win big every day of the week. Sign up for BetParks and get a welcome offer today. You play for fun, you love to win. You bet. BetParks.
This segment is brought to you by Bridgeview Partners. Welcome back. As I look forward to this Monday Night Football matchup and observing the entirety of the National Football League, very few teams are hitting on all cylinders. I know expectations are high, and they should be, but would we like for these birds to be soaring high now or when it really counts? Silly question, I know. But as lackluster as the birds have played, they're still 2-0 and tied for the division lead with the Dallas Cowboys and for the conference lead with the Cowboys and the 49ers. The mini bye should be a great benefit to the Eagles on both offense and defense. Offensively, Nick Sirianni and Brian Johnson have the extra time to study and figure out how to get Jalen and this offense on track. It's obvious that the defensive minds of the NFL have conspired to minimize the talent and abilities of Jalen Hurts and this offense. What will the adjustment to the adjustment be? Although the running game is as ancient and extinct as the Raptor and the T-Rex in today's NFL, it still can be effective for getting your offense back on track. The Birds must commit to running the stable of running backs at their disposal. This will force defenses to load the box, then Jalen will begin to get some of the more favorable looks to boost the passing game. In my opinion, they must take what the defense is giving them and be patient enough to strike downfield when they get the look that they want. In other words, don't force it. As for the defense, they're leading the National Football League in turnovers. They normally come in bunches, so keep that train rolling. Although Baker Mayfield hasn't turned the ball over the past 2 games, he's had some balls that should have been picked and fumbles that were recovered by his teammates. That being said, Sean Desai will need to come up with a plan to confuse, fluster, and speed Mayfield up. Pressure is the key to undoing Baker Mayfield. He can make all the throws and occasionally will try to squeeze a ball into Mike Evans because of his size. He's often off schedule with throws because of uncertainty or tries to make timing throws that are inaccurate or early or late. Eagles defenders have to be ready to make plays when the opportunities present themselves to be made. I don't foresee the Bucs' running game being an issue. They average 33 rushing attempts per game, 96 yards per game, and 2.8 yards per carry. They prefer to be balanced, run the pass for Baker Mayfield's sake. But they aren't very effective in the run game, which should play right into Desai and his defense's hands. In a game like this, the special teams cannot be the reason the game is close or a major factor in its outcome, other than Jake Elliott making a game-winning field goal. The word of the day for the special teams is cover, cover, cover. Field position could be critical in a game as tight as this one could be. Although the Bucs are 2-0, it's time that Jalen Hurts exercises his Tampa Bay demons. 2 years ago, he lost a regular season game and a playoff game to this team, the latter in an embarrassing fashion. This Eagles team is a better team from top to bottom. He is a much improved and better quarterback, with the defense getting better and better each week. I like the Eagles in a close, hard-fought defensive battle, 23-16. That's the show for tonight. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week, and we'll look back on hopefully a W for the Eagles and look ahead to their first NFC East matchup of the season against Washington.